This is part 4 of a 4-part series. This is an original creation YouTube production by the username The Wall. Remember, it is not too late for you or anyone to help in our freedom fight, even once the police start their police state. Now on supplies. The best thing you can do is to try and get as many of their supplies as you can, and in turn, they can be shared with your fellow free citizens for victory. If we got some of the brainwashed police officers on our side by talking, maybe we can be just handed supplies and make our freedom that much faster with less harm. Disruption, and more disruption. There are also tons of things each small town freedom fighter did during WW2 to help their cause. They had all their citizens document all see that their enemy had and were using to harm them. They went around and looked for all their telephone poles and lines, antennas, refueling stations, vehicles and parking lots, command posts, gathering centers, main command center, railroad lines, major highways, etc. Next, they organized and found out their weakness that were then taken down so they could not harm free citizens anymore. They did things like stopping power, going to command centers or collection points, so the aggressors had no electrical power to run anything. Communication lines and antennas were downed. Vehicles, cars, trucks, airplanes were stopped at staging areas/parking lots by arming tires, the engines, windows, etc., and did things to their gas holding tanks, leaving them with no transportation. There were even reports of rails being taken out from their railroad, so they tried to stop the trains, with people going to concentration camps. Or like in the US, FEMA camps. Your government quietly built over 800 of them, which are all full-time manned, ready for people once disaster starts. FEMA camps are the same as the Nazi Germany death camps, with a barbed wire place to keep the people in. Now let's not forget about the 30,000 high-tech guillotines your government purchased and distributed throughout the US. Let's not forget about the army personnel who were trained in secret how to use them. So thanks to these World War II freedom fighters, they did all they can to keep the death camps as hard to get to by train as possible. So they used taking rails off for saving people's lives. At airports, they damaged planes' tires, fuel, engines, runways by making huge holes in the airfield. They even stopped pilots and ground crews so their free people could not be bombed. Highways and roads has signs removed, large holes being made, trees downed, vehicles forced off the roads, etc. So you see why these World War II freedom fighters, most unknown nobodies in the middle of nowhere, does play a major part in free people's future. So just because it is not happening in your area/city does not mean to ignore what you are seeing. You will play a major part in history, and you will be part of all the unsung heroes that help and play a role in victory. Who knows, you may become a hero for all free people. Imagine you being honored in your city for the actions you did to their community. It can happen. If not, you can spend eternity knowing you did all you could to make all your friends free, and you will never ever be forgotten by those who you tried saving. Anyways, I just wanted to drop you a few reminders from World War II on what other freedom fighters did to win against their aggressors. Basically, each unknown small local person did all they could, and that one small action by that one small person in that one tiny town can and do play a vital role for our freedom. Anyone who does not want and uphold and agree with the United States 1776 freedoms and stand by and do nothing its overthrow, you and all your future generations of children will be living as slaves to the rich and dictator rule of law. There comes to a point that each and every person will have to physically give all they can for their spouse, children, loved ones, family, friends, and faith. Why do weapons need to be in the hands of its citizens? As you see, talking to someone with military-grade weapons pointed to your head will not work now, does it? Once they take advantage of your spouse, children, and all your loved ones, will you still just only want to try to talk and reason with them? Just like in North Korea today, people can only talk. They have no weapons to defend themselves, so they cannot do anything and are at the mercy of their dictator and those who have weapons pointed to their heads. So anyone that thinks guns should be banned, well, you are headed to being a slave to a dictator government. What will you do if all weapons are not available to free people? Do you honestly think your government is going to let you do anything you want as a free person, like in North Korea? Today, the government cannot even do one thing right now for our free citizen. Today's government is run by corporation money and all the payoffs given to elected officials. So how can anything improve without them? The Federal Reserve is a private company with a government-sounding name, so people do not know or think it is privately owned by Lord Rothschild from England. But do not fear, his family is worth only 500 trillion US dollars and growing, and still is not enough. Lord Rothschild and the New World Order has the desire to physically have to own everything on the planet, and each and every person. This is real, and you are finally seeing their results. They already own 95% of all media, so you are all being spoon-fed nothing but 100% lies on each and every TV news channel. And yes, there are trillionaires in this world. Ask why you never hear or heard of it. Maybe it's because these people own the media and keep their name out of everything in the media. Like dictator Obama and Michelle. They are the first gay couple, so why don't the media say it? Why don't the media talk about the Obama, even admitting he was born in Kenya and he has a forged birth certificate, yet the media does not tell the masses. Simple. They are all owned by the top 1% richest people who were bribed, so they have final say on what is force-fed to the American public. Why don't they tell the masses that each U.S. citizen now has a government debit of $55,000? In 12 short months, from 2013 to 2014, Obama raised our debit by $10,000 per U.S. person. Now you do not have me talk about the 1.5 quadrillion US dollars in fake junk bonds on Wall Street today. Just imagine the US has a total debit of about 17 trillion US dollars on the table. This amount is not even 1% of the money in all of Wall Street. Imagine what 1.5 quadrillion US dollars would do on his worth. Yeah, government fake Wall Street stocks is at least 1,500 trillion US dollars, and we are only told about the 17 trillion US dollars we are indebted. What about when that 1.5 quadrillion US stocks go down? Since World War I, Russia has been fighting against the Rothschild Bank, and it took them about 75 years to kick them out of their politics. The Rothschild family owns all countries' banks on the planet except 4. Guess which ones? It just happens to be all of the US's enemies. But now, other countries like Iceland, China, and several others have paid heavily, but got them out. Thanks to China and a couple other countries, they have sentenced their clan of money thugs to death penalty. To me, this is 100% fair justice. Money and power have overrun the world to those we allowed to have this power and did nothing to get it back. Honestly, what are you going to do when the government comes in and a military boot is stepped on your head and a weapon pointed to your temple as they rape your family and everything you own? So you think weapons are bad and you are going to talk and reason with them? Weapons balance power, so our government could not do what they are doing now, and that is why it was in our 1776 Constitution and all Americans having weapons to stop the criminal government from power as they grew greedy. In ending, this is the only ground roots, house to house, city by city, take back of our country that we can do as a nation to regain our rights and fight for our children's freedoms. Praying to God has not worked. Begging has not worked. Elections have not worked. Nothing will, and who knows what will be left of our country after this has happened. Each of us need to protect ourselves from our very own city/town mayor, police departments and law enforcement, and work as a community for peace. Remember, your worst number one enemy is your small local city police department and their gang of criminal thugs who want to take your freedoms away, one small city and small person at a time. Now do you understand why your government has been giving each small town military war-grade weapons? It is to stop each small city so they can gain control over you. Yes, small-time you in small-time city. It cannot be more clear that each person who listens to this needs to be made aware each small-town police department is your very worst nightmare and your very worst enemy. Now do you see the criminal government plan and how deep-rooted they thought this overthrow out? It did not happen just by chance, but I was the only one to discover the deepest ever discussed to the public. Yeah, you small-time person in small-time city, you have the power to get our freedoms back. The burden is all on you and each 300 million citizens. I did more than my part to disclose this dark secret to you. Now do you understand why it is essential and vital for each person to overthrow their very own city police departments? There is no other approach known on how to do it, but by each single person in each single town working to get the corrupt criminal out of each city, out of each government office and official, especially all law enforcement who lives next door to you. Once you do, extend a helping hand to the community next to yours and root out the evil there. Do not stop, and once you encounter a community under siege, use the same tactics you used in gaining control of your city over them and get the evil out. It may cost us tens of millions of free citizens, for us free citizens to be free again. Do this so we all can live in peace. So this is humanity's plea, for each person to gain control of their very own local police forces, so no harm can come to them. If is you listening to this that needs to do all you can and gain control of your town. It could be that unseen person you never met before, but has done an act that no one knows that may save your life, or the lives of your loved ones. Spread the love, but if you encounter those not who do not want to live in freedom and peace, the masses need to be separated from the free society. They are a cancer that spreads. This is the only way that free citizens can regain their lost freedoms. Remember, 99% of all free people you meet will be behind you and also want peace and freedom. If you encounter anyone that does not agree, or you encounter any super rich family or high government official, have no mercy on them, as they all proved they were stopping at nothing to destroy me, you or your loved ones. So that means that 1% you meet want to take your freedom away. The problem with that is they have 99% of the military-grade weapons they are going to use on me, you, and each of your loved ones. Now with that said, I foresee that in a nice large area who have freedom, expect your super rich criminal government paid off thugs to fly over and drop a large devices on us, to rid them of us low life freedom loving scum. So we truly have reached the end of days. So you see, the people who have love and compassion at our hearts, cherish loved ones and life over money, but that top 1% does not. They feel that money and power is more important than loved ones or compassion. You see, being a human being species, we have these deep-rooted hopes, dreams, love, compassion in our DNA. So you see, that top 1% is not human, as we are only their pets, and it is time for their harvesting of us 99%. I say a kind word or prayer to you, your family, and all free and honest people and citizens everywhere who only wish to live a free and peaceful life. Please say a kind or prayer word back to me and everyone else, as we all need it now more than ever. We all know what happens to people who release deep-rooted groundbreaking information like you just heard, so please, never forget about the writer of this truly unique project. You will never forget you heard. Please pass this on to as many people you can, and ask them to also pass it on to each person they can. Together we can win, but it will cost us dearly. Disclaimer. I do not condone violence, and this was only a fantasy nightmare dream I had and what we will be facing. But all people need to be fully and honestly aware what to expect once the shit hits the fan. No jokes. Just the dark-hearted physical reality we all need to plan for. Knowledge is power, and this is the power for the people that I just given you. Remember, we all only have one chance at this. There are no do-overs in this life. You have eternity to live with your decisions you made. Ensure whatever you do that you will have to answer back for eternity. Please give me credit for this info on my nightmare dream. This has been an original creation YouTube production by the username The Wall. Please share this vital information with as many people that you can. Look for more unique original titles in the near future.